Welcome to part 2 of this multi-part series to install Hadoop with Cloudera Manager. At this point, we have set up our Amazon Web Services servers, and now we're going to install Cloudera Manager via the command line on the master. In subsequent steps, we're going to do all this stuff. Again, in the required and suggested, you have to have gone through part 1. This video picks up where part 1 left off. And in the suggested bucket, you need probably about 25 to 45 minutes after this lesson to finish the entire setup of our 4-node cluster. Please be aware that there will be Amazon charges for this. You're going to incur about a 33-cent per hour charge for every partial hour that you use this cluster. So please make sure that if you don't have that extra 25 to 45 minutes to set everything up, that you maybe stop your servers and you come back later when you have time. So now we're going to need to log into the master. It's this machine right here. We're going to go ahead and tag it, and you can drag this detailed view up and down to see more stuff. And let's open another tab. We're going to SSH into this machine, but before we do, let's visit our instructions. We have to change the permissions on the private part of our key pair to read and write only for the current user. So let's go ahead and do that with the chmod 600 of Hadoop keypair.pem. And now we can actually SSH into our instance. So we're going to type SSH-I and pass it our Hadoop key pair. And you're going to specify Ubuntu at, that is the name of the user, to log into the 1204 distro with on Amazon. And we're going to grab our public DNS again and paste that in here so we can SSH into that machine. You'll see a warning like this the first time you try to connect, saying that this server is not recognized and it's not an authenticated host. Just type yes, and we'll add it to our list of known hosts. And slowly, our server should log in here. There we go. And let's go back to our instructions. And we're going to go to the top of this document. And now that we're in, the very first thing we're going to do is bring our server up to date. If our packages are too far out of date, Cloudera Manager is going to complain and we're going to have all kinds of issues. So you're going to type sudo aptitude update and push enter. And our Ubuntu box is going to go ahead and grab all the latest packages. And while it's doing that, let's go ahead and tee up our next command, which is cd into user local source. Let's copy that. And our server has finished its updates, so we're going to go ahead and cd into that directory. We're going to pull down this file. So we're going to copy the next command to get our source installer. And you do that with a sudo wget, and it pulled it down. So next, let's grab our executable command, and let's make it executable. And that's made it executable. And next, we're going to go ahead and grab our execute command and paste that in and let our execution run. So here we presented with a screen telling us that Cloudera Manager is going to install itself. Let's just push next. Terms and conditions, of course, we've read those thoroughly. So we're going to push yes here, push next, accept that license, again, which we read thoroughly. And now Cloudera is going to go through the process of installing all the base packages and supporting elements that it needs on this machine. So the first thing you're going to see here is Oracle JDK install for the Java version. Hadoop uses Java extensively under the hood, so there goes the JDK install. And up next is going to be some Cloudera specific stuff that it's going to install. So let's go ahead and let that finish. You might want to pause the video here. It shouldn't be more than 2 or 3 minutes from this point. So here comes the install of the Cloudera Manager server. And we're going to go ahead and let that complete. While that is running, let's go ahead and hop back here and look in our browser for a couple other tabs that we should keep open. So in this tab, we've downloaded this file, and there's a couple other things of note in here. One is the actual Cloudera Manager installation documents from Cloudera themselves, and I've copied that here and put that in this third tab. If you do run into any errors or you're having any issues, you might want to consult this tab. I've built this script out of a subset of the happy path if everything works correctly going through this method. So let's go ahead and open that tab up. And again, you should probably have this ports tab open as well if you're installing a real production cluster. And that URL is available right here inside of this 4-node cluster setup script document. And here goes Cloudera Manager wrapping up. It has to install several databases that it needs under the hood. So let's go ahead and maybe pause here again and let that process complete. After a few minutes, you should end up with this screen. So it's telling us to point our web browser to HTTP localhost 7180. We're actually going to change that to our public DNS. So let's go ahead and copy out this public DNS Open yet one more tab, paste that in, and type :7180, which is the Cloudera Manager web port. Push enter, and you will likely see a screen like I see here saying that we can't connect. That's because the DNS has not yet propagated. So let's go ahead and refresh that a couple times. It may take a minute or so for this page to refresh. You may want to pause the video here while you're waiting for your refresh to happen. We are back at the login screen. So this is eventually what you should see after a couple minutes. And we are on our install right at this point. So let's go ahead and push enter back in our screen. It says everything was successful. So that is everything that we're going to need to do for this part of the series, and we'll go ahead and pick back up in part number 3.